Fisp committee meeting, all members are present with the exception of
Kate Ivers.
Kate Ivers, and that's it.
Yeah. That is,
Okay, first item is meeting minutes, January 9th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I haven't seen them, I don't know if they were distributed, but I definitely haven't read them.
Is everybody okay with voting on tonight, or do you want to put them off to another meeting? Did other people read them?
I didn't read it.
why don't we just put off snow?
Okay, why don't we put the minutes off till the next meeting? We'll make sure they get sent out. It would be the 9th, the 24th, the 14th, and the 6th.
They were probably sent out, I just,
Yeah, I'm not suggesting they weren't sent, I definitely
Do
haven't.
do you want to put them off so you can look them over?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put them off till the next meeting. Police, so I don't know if you have to withdraw your motion, I think, and withdraw the second.
Okay. Motion to withdraw
Withdraw second.
January 9th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, police station, report on HVAC issue. Are you gonna report on that?
Sure.
Okay.
So, there was a meeting on site with the HVAC contractor, the sheet metal contractor, the OPM, our HVAC engineer. And they went through, and our engineer was looking at certain things to verify the system parameters. And one of the issue that brought us there was we had a exhaust fan returning from the area around the cell block area. And it was supposed to be at, let's say, 300 CFM. We're supposed to see 300 CFM come to it from 5 or 6 diffusers. And it had 300 CFM at the machine, at the unit. But if you added up the CFM that came into each of the diffusers, it added up to quite a bit less than 300. We surmised that there was leakage in the duct and the air was coming in from other places because it's all that suction coming back to the exhaust fan. So we asked the contractor to look at it, the contractor to fix it. He couldn't find any leakage. He wasn't sure what the problem was. He proposed, therefore, it must be a design issue. So we went out there. What they determined was there was leakage.
Who's they?
They being the sheet metal contractor, which is Noise Sheet Metal, mechanical contractor, which is Veterans, and our engineer, Julia Weathersby.
This was all the interested parties.
Yeah, yeah. So what they determined was, yes, there was some duct leakage. They couldn't tell how much. The other thing they found was that not the exhaust fan, but the energy recovery fan had 2 issues. One, it had a broken belt, and 2, it had poor bearings, poor ball bearings. This was the belt had already broken once early on in the project. So this is the second belt. We don't know, the belt is breaking because of the bad bearings, but now they're going to fix the bearings, they're going to fix the belt again. And we'll watch it. The other issue that we were asked to verify was, once they repaired this ERV, energy recovery, would you get an extended warranty? And yes, our contract says that if something were to break and they were to have to repair it during the 1-year warranty after the project is built, then they would have to warranty it, that repair for a year from when they make it. So you do have that extra coverage. Everyone agreed that with the previous repair recommendation we had, was basically that to rectify the imbalance in the air, we would take part of the exhaust coming from that end of the building and exhaust it directly to the outside instead of going through the ERV. What it requires is an 8-inch round duct going probably about 25, 30 feet to an existing louver on the outside of the building that's already there. So you just have to bring it down from here to there, basically. And once they do that, we can rebalance the system, rebalance how much air is coming through all the diffusers, and we'd be done. We'd be code compliant. you'd have everything that you needed. And right now, the situation isn't causing any difficulty. No one is suffering because of this. It just happens to be a numbers issue with the code, trying to get the right amount of air through the ductwork.
They're gonna do this repair when?
Excuse me?
When are they doing?
So they were on site, I believe Monday, and they cut a couple of access holes and put some access panels in the vertical shaft that's next to the stair, because that was the one area nobody could see before. So they did that on Monday. They didn't find any, bodies in there blocking the airflow. So then the plan was to come out tomorrow with a couple men to actually install that duct. Just got an email before the meeting that because of the snow and some backed up work, they're gonna come on Friday instead of Thursday. And they'll be out there at 7 AM in the morning. And Peter was coordinating it. And they will put in the duct. Our engineer is gonna go through the balance report and decide how to rebalance the CFM at the diffusers at the exhaust grills. And we'll give that information to the contractor. So on Friday, if they're out there, they do the work they're supposed to do, put in this duct. The following week, we'll give them the balancing numbers, and they'll come back out with a balancer, testing their balancer, and he will rebalance the system, and then we'll be done.
How confident are you that this will solve the problem? Scale of 1 to 10?
10, 9.5.
John, will you ever get the total CFM if you're measuring at the outlets that you're putting in on the front end? Aren't you gonna lose some of that pressure as the air moves through the system?
You do lose, and we did allow for 10%, for this, they were actually 30% low. So,
Okay.
yeah, we wouldn't accept it. So we described it as an installation issue, and that's the only thing we can think of. I mean, literally, if you've got 300 CFM coming to the unit, you should have 300 CFM coming through every diffuser, or total, and it doesn't, so it's gotta be leakage. I mean, it's just physics. So, but the contractor doesn't wanna say for sure that it's an installation issue, but he's willing to fix it.
On this ERV unit, I wouldn't know if it hit me in the face. How big is this thing? If this fails completely and needs to be replaced, the one that 2 belts are broken now, it's got bad bearings in 3 months.
Well,
Is this an accessible piece of equipment if it needed to be, if they fix the
Yes.
bearings and then
Yes.
3 months later the bearings break
yes,
again?
I'm guessing the unit is probably in the neighborhood about 3 foot by 4 foot.
And is it in that back access room that,
It's upstairs in the mechanical mezzanine.
yeah, okay. And
Yeah.
the mechanical room.
So, they say it's not a design issue?
We're saying it's not a design issue. They can't say it is because there's no proof it is. The only thing that logic indicates is that it's leakage. And the little squirrely thing about this is while we're looking at the fan and the exhaust, the ERV isn't working right. We're trying to fix that at the same time. They're not necessarily related issues.
So in other words, adding that piece of ductwork to that,
Yeah.
there's still leakage.
It bypasses the it'll bypass and take some of the air away from the ERV, so, the ERV, doesn't wanna see all that. I don't know if I can say it properly.
Well, I mean, but this
The
is,
engineer says, and I can quote, that we wanna work with the reduced air. We want to make the reduced air work, because nobody can really find and improve the duct leakage issue. So we're going to work with the reduced air, and we're going to make that code compliant by bypassing the ERV and going right to the exterior louver.
so this looks like to me that we're gonna fix it to make it work right now. But how about long-term? I mean, is
No, it's
this,
long-term, it is long-term, it's not.
this
a-
leakage can't get worse, it
No,
can't,
No, and the leakage, they figured out the leakage is probably down to 15%. They've done something, they've got the leakage down to about 15%. We'll know more when the next testing air balance thing is done. But they were only willing to admit about 15%, still 5% over what they were required to provide us, so they're back out there fixing it.
And I don't understand the
Really
pressures
minor-
in the
This is
system.
really a minor issue, it's not a major issue.
But I mean, you're coming up with a Band-Aid to resolve a question that you can't provide an absolute answer to.
There
Is
no
the
smoking
system
gun.
under negative pressure? Is it gonna be sucking stuff in from the rooms into the ventilation system or spitting things out of the ventilation?
What we think is happening is that I don't know if you've seen a testing and air balancing person, but they have this big kind of like fabric hood that they put over the grill, and they can measure the air going through that, the grill area. What they can't really measure is, if the grill's not installed great, or the manufactured grill has leakage around the edges of the grill. They don't really measure that very well. We suspect that we're probably getting the CFM, where we want to get the CFM, the negative draw, but that it's possibly due to leakage at the grill and not like somewhere in the middle of a duct. The ducts are all sealed. I mean, if you look at them, and they've been inspected by several people, all the joints are sealed the way they should be, the way we expect them to be. So we suspect the next logical place that it could leak is actually at the fittings, at the grill fittings. Sure.
So the next time you do another test is when you will find out after this has been fixed. Now, what happens if there's still 15% leakage? What would be the plan? I'm using 15% only
Sure,
because that's
sure.
what I thought, it was 5% more than what was acceptable.
I don't know if there is another plan. I think they're so certain this will work. I don't know.
So adding this piece of duct to that vent, and that's gonna take in outside air?
No, it's going to exhaust.
Exhaust,
Yeah.
a little more exhaust.
What does this ERV do?
It's an energy recovery, what does the V stand for? I won't say vehicle, but energy recovery unit that basically takes air from the space, take exhaust air from the space, and doesn't mix it with incoming air, but passes it through veins where the air is made separate for sanitary reasons, but the heat or the coolness of the air is allowed to temper the air coming in. So it's energy recovery is like if you're exhausting 90-degree air in the middle of winter, and you're drawing in air, fresh air for the building at 30 degrees. Putting these things in a unit that allows the heat, or like in the summertime cool, to basically temper the incoming air to the right thing. So you get, it's free energy.
So is this make it by putting this air directly out into
You're
the...
losing a little bit of energy recovery, but it's not a big amount.
Energy,
That's the
But it is, I mean, it is gonna make the system less efficient.
total efficiency, I would say, would be a little bit less. The total building efficiency would be a little bit less.
ventilation,
So we're talking
ventilation's the thing? Ventilation, I don't know. Energy recovery, ventilation,
ventilator, energy recovery ventilator.
whatever.
I don't know.
Energy recovery.
Any other questions? I mean,
Well, obviously, you're gonna do another test after it's done, and we'll see what happens from there.
right, and if we could just maybe jump down to these two invoices. Do these invoices have anything to do with this project, with this? Do you know? Because we don't have any backup.
Oh, there's no backup for them? Well, then I couldn't tell you if I saw the backup.
I thought the invoice was for senior center, to be honest with you.
Oh, it does both say senior center, so there are none for the police. So the money we withheld is still there
Yes.
until we get.
Got nothing to do
Okay.
with it.
Yeah.
Well,
And you've got a lot of money.
we still have $25,000.
Yeah, that's way more.
But we're comfortable with it.
That's where it's staying.
Okay, so, any other issues with the police station that you wanna?
The fence, we have Anita asked us to provide a sketch for the fence going behind the impound chain link fence. So we did, and I think it was agreed that the height of the fence would be 8 feet.
No, it's 6 feet.
6, because wasn't 8 gonna cost more, so.
No, that was for the,
Well, originally,
what's the current fence that's there?
the fence that's there is basically a 6-foot fence with 1 foot of barbed wire on top. We had suggested putting a 7-foot fence in front of it. And the last thing we were told after Anita spoke to DPW was he was planning to put an 8-foot fence. So we
Wait,
changed
no.
our sketch to say 8-foot.
Well, that wouldn't be DPW. Is the DPW putting that fence behind the fence?
Butch is, he's the one that got the price for it.
For the fence? And he's also got the one between the yards.
So we did what Anita and Butch asked us to do.
So you're doing 8
I
now,
think it's 8 foot.
just behind the
Yeah,
impound?
just whatever that
I don't
is,
think
60
that-
feet.
I don't think that's correct, because we got the quote for the, I believe it was a 6-foot fence.
Well, you can change, I mean, I recommend 7, not 8. And I don't recommend 6, because then you see the barbed wire up the top.
Okay. We'll check on that.
Then just something, I don't think you were here at our last meeting, but when we went to I noticed all the wires from the TVs all hanging in the room. Are those gonna,
I haven't seen that. but-
okay, I'm just wondering if those are gonna, when they're getting that new equipment in, I'm sure that's all wired behind the wall.
Yeah, I'm not sure what wiring will be in front of the wall, except the electrical plug.
All the TVs, all the cables to all the the
Well,
two
they're fine.
TVs.
And the TVs were installed?
Yeah, the TVs are there.
Well, they left, it sounds like they left too much slack outside the, there is, just like.
There are boxes I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
and
boxes.
there's a box for RJ 45,
Yeah,
jack or coax jack, so they just gave themselves too much cord.
no, it comes down there and then goes to a computer.
So it
Comes
is,
from each TV and goes to computers. So we need that backup,
Is this everywhere or just in the meeting training room?
just the training room.
We had conduit going down the wall, and we had empty boxes at the bottom that they were supposed to be using.
Okay. So we'll just check with the chief and see what that is.
Do we know if the added funding for the various electronics has actually been performed?
I don't know.
And it was basically aimed at cleaning up wiring and integrating.
I'm thinking that might be the case, because there's not even a projector yet to show a PowerPoint, because it wasn't there the day we had the meeting.
No, the projector was there, but it wasn't connected.
The
was it?
projector wasn't in the,
They had the projector a long time ago, because I remember them having to get the bracket to support the projector, and we had to coordinate that with the general contractor to get that installed.
but it wasn't in the room.
it wasn't in the room. We had to use the TVs for our meeting.
Because we used the projector we had. We didn't get a new projector, we used the one we had.
No, we used the TVs for our presentation.
No, I'm saying, the projector's the
Oh,
one we
right.
used
Right.
from the
I
police
remember
station.
seeing the box with projector on
Yeah.
site somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it's over there somewhere.
So you're right. I don't know the answer to if all that equipment's gonna fix these issues with all the wiring outside.
And
Okay.
I would really want to know if, if this is long-term or not. And I was assuming that's what the added monies were.
So I guess the only person that's handling that would be the chief, right? Because no one,
Yeah, originally it was Tony and the chief.
we can ask the chief
Yeah.
for an update on
Yeah.
that.
And then Bob had brought up the point about the flag, and I saw the picture. That flag pole, it's 18 inches off the top, and that flag
And
is,
we have asked the contractor, and I don't know that I've heard an answer.
I think there was, I think Anita had an answer last time. They said that's as high as it goes, right?
my response to that was, then it's installed improperly, because that flag is not at the top of the flagpole. I mean, that's as high as it goes, yeah, because
Well-
that's the way they install it.
We do have the cut sheet from the manufacturer on it. I can simply call the manufacturer and say, is this how you designed it? If he says yes, then that's basically, you gotta live with it. But if it's not, and they're hiding another issue, then we'll have them replace the flagpole, whatever
This,
we have
I'd
to
be
do.
flabbergasted if
Right.
they're gonna say, yeah, we designed it so that it only goes up 18 inches from the top of the flagpole. Like, that's just not
No,
out.
it does not sound correct.
Yeah. Right, 18 inches, is that about the,
That's fair. I think what's happening, John, is that the lanyard itself, when they put the splice in it, the splice is bigger than the capacity of the pulley. And so what happens is it goes to the splice goes to the pulley, and there's no more lift.
Okay. Yes,
But-
that
but from the
sounds possible.
street, it
That
looks as
sounds
though
like
it's
a rational
half-mast.
explanation.
but it's easily fixable, because you just move where the splice is as compared to where the flag is on the
Right.
lanyard, and the splice doesn't have to go anywhere near the pulley.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't they have done that? Because they said that somebody looked at it and they got it up to within 6 inches, something like that.
I don't know.
That was one of the emails this week.
Cut 18 inches off the top and just make that the top of the
Well,
pole.
it has some sort of an ornament at the top. Is that lighted? Is that the,
No.
okay, then that's, it's junk.
Actually, you have a gold ball up there, and we call it for a silver ball, but we ended up trading that for something else.
Or we don't even want to know. Well, I mean, the only positive is, these are only a few issues that we had, and that the pole is something that should be able to be fixed, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so then nothing else for the for the police station, we can jump to the senior center. OPM selection process is the first item on the agenda. And Bob, do you wanna?
No.
You know, okay. I can just, myself, John, and Bob all looked at it. Bob did a great summary, so I was able to read Bob's summary and then go through all the books. And I think the agreement, well, I know the agreement for the three of us are that we've rated 1 and 2, I believe. And that was, what's Collier and P3 as 1 and 2. And then from there down, we have the rating of the other groups. And I think our agreement is not have an interview, is just start negotiations with Collier, and then see how that goes, and then move forward from there if there's an issue. If anybody has any concerns.
Call up is
Are we able
Tony's
to do
with.
that legally?
Yes, we don't have to have interviews.
And why is that?
I don't know why, but I'm told we
Anita
do not
told
have
us
to
that.
have interviews.
Remember, were you
You
here
can
last
have,
meeting?
it's at your discretion. If you think that you've got a clear-cut candidate, that's fine. Sometimes time is an issue. And so they don't force you to have interviews. Entirely, voluntary.
Can I ask what put them at the top? Just out of curiosity, not that I'm disagreeing with you.
Well, I would say one of the issues that I know that I would have, and I'm sure there's others, that Tony works now for Collier,
Okay.
and we've had good experience with Tony.
Mhm.
Now, I personally, that's one of the positives, but to me, that's, with the company he was with before, I felt he kind of ran the show, and he had a little more freedom. I'm a little more concerned about this huge, I don't know how many, 100 and something employees, if they give
104.
Tony the same. And then I'm also concerned about the price. And if it's 20, 30% more, as far as I'm concerned, it's not worth it anymore to stay with, because they could be more expensive. So that's, I don't know if anybody else in the committee has any.
And P3 was one that was interviewed last time. They came in second, if you guys remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was,
For
that
the police
Fairly
station.
impressive.
For the police, they
Right, yeah.
really, no, for the senior center.
Senior center.
We interviewed them for the senior
I
center.
actually said to the guy out in the parking lot afterwards, I said, if sight unseen, if we hadn't been
Right.
working with Tony beforehand,
Right.
I would
So we
have pushed for you.
we all thought they did a great job, so that's why we feel if we can't negotiate
Mhm.
something fair with Tony,
Is it
that
Tony?
we're not losing anything with them.
Okay.
Is it Tony and the other P3, they are quoting the same price, or?
they don't give price. We
No,
need to
no.
negotiate.
No.
The agreement has to be here that we negotiate with Collier.
Okay.
That's what we're asking, is to negotiate with Collier. If we can't come to agree with them, negotiate with P3.
Yeah, because we know roughly what the price should be.
Because you had a
We-
price budget.
Right.
We had a price budgeted, plus we have the police station to look at
Mhm.
cost too. I mean, if it comes in substantially higher, I mean, I think, I would personally say, let's bring it back to the committee and talk to the next.
We had suggested that you put the price that you accept into the RFP. Do you know if that was done? Because it'd be nice to know if they already saw that number.
No, it wasn't, I don't believe.
It was, wasn't it?
And we recognize
But-
that as being a potential question mark, as we're talking about this, that we're saying, well, wait a minute, what's the cutoff point? Where is an extravagant increase in price? Where is that? You know, if we're talking about a small increase in price, I don't think it would change our thinking. But a large increase in price, whatever that may be, it would be back to the drawing board.
I think the RFP also, everybody had worth their salt, would have read it and realized what was in the budget last time, because so I'm sure everybody knows what it is.
Yeah, but at the same time, Tony does knows the He knows very clearly, right?
Everybody knows
And like you said, I
the
think,
price.
I think the
I mean,
right
all these
thing to
people
do
probably look
is
at it.
negotiate with them.
Well,
If he
they-
can't do it,
Did
he
they
can't
have-
do
they- I
it.
don't know that they have.
We'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So for the evaluation subcommittee, you've gone through, you've done the scoring rubric, so we've got documentation on why we're advancing those two. And so if we get number 5 on the list, calling and complaining, we've got a document that supports your position.
We do.
And like you say, I think when we negotiate with this company, we're gonna have to make sure that Tony's the guy we wanna work with, because in this here, they have a second project manager right under Tony now. Does that mean that he's gonna be here more? I don't know the answer, so I think that, as far as I'm concerned, that will be all part of negotiation, that we
That would have
we
to,
say that this is why we're doing it. I mean, I'm guessing because they list the people and they list another project manager under Tony, so that just,
that would have
They
to,
may have it, like what we
Training.
do it, well, you always have somebody to back up.
correct,
In case they're not available, so.
right,
And Tony's new with them, so they might want him to have some backup.
right.
For clarity, this is an OPM and clerk of the works contract combined, right?
Yes, should be.
yes, it is.
Right, and they don't list really a clerk of the works, but under there, really none of them. Bob, did any of them really?
Yeah, one of them did, and I don't know which one it was right
Well,
off
one of
the
them
top.
did, but none of them really.
But they're all doing the same job.
That'd be important.
Can they say, well, the project manager's gonna be the clerk of the works, or do they?
If they can, if you want to accept that,
Right.
that's fine, but I don't think they're going to put a project manager's, his salary out there every day.
Yeah, so that will have to all be, I think, I mean, I looked for that in all of the.
I would ask for their resume, if they have a resume of the clerk.
This is the project team, this is what I looked at, and I
Right.
didn't,
Acknowledge
I
it.
see an executive, managing director, I see
So,
a project director,
Yeah,
could that be?
project representative is the same thing as the clerk.
yeah. So, I mean, Bob, do you wanna look any more of that, or are you okay with?
No, if you're satisfied with just one, to my best of my recollection, reference to clerk of the works. One's been a half
Well,
hour.
I know that one did, but all of them in the contract said there has to be a clerk of the works.
Yes,
So I guess if they don't put it in that table there,
Since you are going to negotiate, right, we could always ask them.
yeah, well, we'd have to say that we understand
That's
that
what I'm
just
saying.
part of this project is a clerk of the work that's on site and the project manager's not, correct?
You should see their resume.
Right.
Well, and we'll generate a contract that will have the terms in it spelled out presumably. Where are these companies based out of? Where is?
Is it-
They're actually got an office in Agawam and down in the Glastonbury office. They probably have one east of here too. They used to.
They're huge, this company
Just
now.
so you know, there used to be a OPM called Strategic Building Solutions. They were a smaller firm, a little bit bigger than, like the size of P3. I worked with them a lot. They were very nice. They were bought out by Colliers. Colliers is like a property management firm that's getting into project management. And they bought out a bunch of project OPMs. So, they're kind of, they're the big dogs, so to speak.
That bio, did that take place like not too long ago, right?
That was
Because I think
probably
we,
about 2 or 3 years ago.
yeah, because I think we interviewed SPF.
Yeah, SPS. So, yeah, that's happened. I'm working with Colliers on 2 other jobs right now.
Just so everybody knows, Cardinal did not respond.
Who?
Cardinal,
Sorry, yeah.
did not put a, I mean,
He knows it.
I think we, well, I know, I, because of Tony and we've had a good working relationship, I believe that's why I'm pushing towards going to that company. But,
Same thing.
like I say, I liked P3 last time, and I think I spoke to go with P3 last time. So they're a good backup if,
I think it's wise, though, not to get into an interview process, because it would be a shame to make Dan jump through hoops again and not, him, and say no again.
No, I don't think that's the reason why we want. I just think because of the time frame, we want to move forward with this.
Yeah,
But I-
just so you know, we would like, I mean, it's not absolutely necessary, but we would like to know your OPM so that we can on the general contractors working on his contracts, providing insurance and bond certificates. We tell him to list the OPM on his insurance, but no one knows the OPM's name, so he can't provide us his insurance certificate until we tell him what the OPM's name is. And we all want him to sign it and submit it so you can look at it on the 21st.
So with that being said, we'd like to be able to negotiate with Tony, if it's okay with everybody else, and get this, and if that doesn't work, go to the next one.
We can go to the next one. I mean,
I'll move to proceed with negotiations with Collier.
Second.
okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Same time, we want to say if that fails, to then go to
Yeah.
number 2.
With P3, if that fails.
Well,
You
we-
want to add that?
you
to-
would, do we want to have a contingent motion? If that fails,
I
then
think we can
proceed
make that in the
with
same
P3?
motion, I believe.
All right, so append, should negotiations fail with Collier to produce an appropriate price, enter into negotiations with P3.
Second.
And then,
And
Is
Question is-
anyone taking minutes, by the way?
They're recording it, and they're gonna do it after.
Oh, okay.
so who will be negotiating?
well, I'm sure Anita will, and then we can talk to her. So we're gonna have
Yeah,
to
but-
reach out to her.
I don't want this thing to be happen like last time. We don't want that 30,000 more.
No,
So
well, he won't.
definitely,
If
last,
She's not gonna sign the contract.
no, but
she
we
can only-
did, we were forced to sign we were forced to agree on the 30,000 on the architect, right?
I think one of John or myself will
Yeah.
be with, just to
Take it
say.
out.
I mean-
We weren't forced to bring an A.
Yeah, but it was too late, right, that time?
We don't wanna go to the last, like, a week from now
Yeah,
and say,
that's what I'm saying.
it's $40,000 more, now we have to start all over with P3, so.
I think, it's not worth it to just because of Tony, we need to pay him.
We agree.
No, I
100%.
don't
We
disagree
100%.
with that.
Yeah.
You guys have already stated that.
Yep, made that clear.
Yeah,
Being
That's-
reasonable,
yeah.
so.
Have we decided how much of a cost differential we're willing to accept?
I-
It's been made clear that they have higher overhead and their
Right,
expenses.
and
will
they
be higher.
have, and I know they get high fees. Right now, what I can discern from the budget is they had $102,000 set aside for the clerk of the works. Of course, none of that has been expended, so there's $102,000 available for that. There was 60 for project management, which looks like about 41 was expended, and that's probably not including the bidding services, so
That's more than that, it's 50, I believe.
it's probably about 50. So there's probably 10 available from project management. So that means about 112 is in your current budget. And if you want to negotiate or accept something higher than that, it means that, you've got to play a numbers game and pull it from somewhere.
They won't.
There is no reason to,
102 for clerk of the works for 8, 9, 10 months is a good number.
That's a clerk and the project manager.
No, that's just the clerk. There's project management, which is usually considered, there's still a project manager, and who comes out every week. And then there's the clerk who's there every day. So normally the clerk is the big number during construction, and the project manager is the small number.
So what do you think's left under your notes, 112?
Under ours?
Under our budget? I thought it was about 100.
112, or I'd say around 112.
We had 60,000 originally for the OPM, and we used 50, so 45.
Yeah, I had an email from Anita, and there might be a little more there, but we can figure that out.
Yeah.
yeah, but, at the same time, we do know that how much we spend for the
Police
senior,
station.
yeah, police station.
Yeah.
So
we
there
get
should
an
be a
idea.
comparable amount.
And also.
It doesn't matter, how much, John, it doesn't matter how much we have there, right?
But it's what we have there. It's-
Well, it matters as far as you don't want to exceed your,
We don't
That's
wanna
what I'm saying,
We don't want to go over that.
Yeah, yeah,
Tony knows what was.
and we know that Tony knows.
Yep.
Exactly what
Right.
is available.
And like you said, if he can't do it, then move on to the next one.
Yep.
All right?
So how will this process go then? So we're authorizing basically Anita to move forward with a negotiation. She'll come down to what her final number is. She'll come back to this group for authorization?
Yeah, my guess would be if it comes in what we're talking about, then she'll bring it to us and say, this is it. I think if it's substantially higher, or, like you say, how much is higher? Is $2,000, maybe not. But 10%, 20%.
Well, once you've made your decision, and this group, the Fisp, is ranking 1 and 2, then I think it goes to the authority of the board to complete the negotiations, right? So it wouldn't be before the whole committee, it would just be before the board, and hopefully we can do that next week on the 21st.
We can put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
We'll have an answer.
Unless there's a huge issue, then we bring it back to this.
So Anita would ask them for a price proposal, and I would also tell them to provide you a resume and a clerk.
To find out the story on the clerk, right?
Get a resume.
All right, so we had a motion, a second.
Is it worth getting the price from the P3 too?
You can't, you have to
You have to
negotiate
go
with one,
and then,
and then,
But
because it's only for
the
services.
same negotiation, it's a very short thing, he's gonna give us a proposal. It's not like it's gonna be dragged on, I think, for,
yeah, totally understand. I'm
Just
just,
give you a proposal, if you don't like it, you say, is this your final and best offer?
exactly, then
And if he says yes, then
then
you
you
move on.
move on to the next one.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm still not clear on the sequence. So Anita reaches out, she gets a price. There won't be a communication with this board because we won't have another meeting before the selectmen meet. So she'll be deciding with whom, whether or not to discontinue negotiations with Collier and go with P3 if the price is higher than some value we don't establish.
I think Anita's gonna watch this meeting and have an idea of what we're looking at.
Well, I think Ray's got a good point, so I
I'm just
think,
trying to figure out, I just want to
I
understand the
think it goes in
process.
front of the Board of Selectmen, like,
It does, but at what point does Anita, because Anita, well, she's your town commissioner, she's got the leverage to negotiate, correct?
yeah,
So, knowing what she has in her pocket here for available funds, she can determine whether or not, 5% is probably not a big number. But, you start getting over that, you start thinking, okay, how difficult are we negotiating? If they're difficult, then you step back.
The issue with process I have is typically the way it's done is
bring back.
we get negotiation, it comes to the Fisp, the Fisp recommends that the Board of Selectmen move forward. So we'll be skipping that step unless we set up a meeting of the Fisp to coincide before the next Board of Selectmen meeting.
You can meet again
Like-
next Wednesday.
I think that's reasonable, I guess.
Meet at 6:30 next Wednesday.
we can set a meeting for that time, and
Works.
if there's no, I guess we could say if there's no issue and they come in right on the dollar.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
There's-
I like to be an optimist, but no.
That's
Okay,
right.
so I have a motion and a second to negotiate with one, and if there's an issue with two, and do I hear any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll set a meeting for 6:30.
6:30 next, for
I
fair.
have-
Do we have something else, though?
20th, I have possible Fisp meeting.
That was for interviews, so that can be deleted.
So we're gonna do Wednesday at 6:30. But do we have a,
We have a CPC meeting at 6 next Wednesday.
do we have a, executive session?
I don't have it if we do. Before?
So, we don't,
On Wednesday? I thought so. I'm not here, but I'm out of town.
that's right.
So say
I might
6:30?
have trouble. I have a Edgebrook trustee meeting.
And
How
we
about
can, we can
Tuesday?
do it the Tuesday if we
Pat
need
said he
to.
had it on his.
We did have it, we had it for
Yeah.
interviews. We had a question
just
mark for
deleted it.
interviews.
Right,
We just need a quorum, everybody doesn't have to vote.
Yeah, so,
well, just to get a
no,
quorum.
let's keep it at 6:30. Well, how long you guys need, your CPC meeting?
We're gonna need more than half an hour.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably more than a half an hour.
4 to 7, is that enough? Oh, I need
Yeah,
5 minutes. 4 to 7, right?
6:45?
So we're gonna cancel, because Pat already deleted it.
so this is a 6:45.
What's that, the 21st?
21st.
Phil, are you you're not available at all?
On a Wednesday, the 21st?
Yeah.
No,
So will you have a quorum?
Yeah, well,
I won't be here.
that's
but
right.
again, I mean, we just need a quorum. If we have difficulty with a quorum, I'll scoot over.
We might not just go, let's go, because,
You should have it.
Roger's not gonna be here next week.
Oh, he's not? So you only have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4,
We're gonna need you, Phil, just for
5.
15 minutes.
Who are the 5 that we're gonna have?
You know, Ray, Phil,
Everybody.
Bob. Oh, we have 6.
I'll be
We
here.
need 6. We need 6.
We've got 5 right now.
So at what time is it?
6:45.
So March 21st, 6:45.
Yeah, the Edgebrook trustee meeting is 6:30.
So what about, why don't we reach out to Kate and say you gotta be here? She's on the committee.
Yeah.
I don't,
So you'll have a quorum.
okay, we can,
We'll schedule.
why don't we just set it for that 6:45 Wednesday, and let's see, maybe,
Plus,
Everything will come in
won't
perfect.
Anita email some information ahead of time? Won't,
No,
well, no, she won't be okay.
if you can't come, we'll tell Kay she's gotta be here.
There won't be enough time in 1 week to negotiate with two firms.
What?
If there's an issue with,
Oh,
yeah, because, well, we don't, first of all, we don't know
which-
when Anita's
when
gonna
she's
be
coming
back, so
That was my.
it might not be till next week.
But Nancy can certainly send an email to Tony.
Yeah, as long as she can talk, reach out to us. So we're doing 6:45 on Wednesday. If there's an issue with the
Yeah.
meeting, there might not be any problem with the bid.
Do you have what type of contract did you sign with Cargill for the police station?
It was for the police station or the senior
Police
center.
station?
Police station.
I don't know, what do you mean, what kind?
You
Well,
fixed
what-
price
what-
versus,
What I'm suggesting is that you can either let Colliers propose a contract, which will be heavily on their side, or you can send them your contract, change the name Cargill to Colliers, and have them sign the one that you approved last time.
I'm sure that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
Because that's what we all.
Can Nancy stop
Well,
that, or one of you
we
guys,
gotta-
while
no, we
Anita's
gotta-
not here?
I think we have to, Anita's, I'm sure, still in contact with
Yeah,
Nancy.
Nancy, I'm
Yeah.
sure Nancy can.
John, you were gonna offer a
I was
reason
gonna,
why
I was
not
gonna
to.
say that their price to you would be dependent upon their services, and their services would be outlined in a contract. So if they gave you their contract, which is probably very heavily on their services, you see a big number. If you've got a contract you prefer, you give it to them, and then they price your contract.
That's a good point.
I'm sure it'll be the contract that we use, the same contract we use at the police station.
So they need to see that. I know Tony's familiar with it, but
Actually, Tony can just pull it out of his briefcase.
you might want to tell them that you want them to sign the same contract.
I will contact
I
Nancy in
think-
the morning, have her call.
And I think, I'm sure Anita's in contact. Anita, she gets paid the big bucks. This is what she does, so I think we can let her, she's gonna know where we stand, so.
You should have a course short.
Yeah, trying
That's a
to,
good idea if they have
I
that,
agree.
I
I
think.
mean, but like I said, I don't think,
Excuse me.
there's nothing, everything's open here. Tony's gonna see exactly what we spoke about. Anything else on
Yep.
the,
We haven't voted.
we have, I know we did, we voted.
We all said aye on that?
I don't know if you did, but we all
No, I
did.
thought,
No, we did, and I
Ray
said,
was-
anybody have,
trying to
we all said aye.
think so.
clarify.
Oh, okay.
So, do you wanna do it again?
No, I'm good.
Just in case? Because that would really hurt if we didn't do it. Okay, other, any other
Yes,
senior?
They do have a few.
Okay.
So on the senior center, obviously good news. I mean, I haven't been here, but our estimate was off 1.5%. We're within 1.5% of our estimate, because we're very pleased with that. We just received today, actually, on the way here, the planning board approval for the site, for the senior center site. Very few articles.
Rock's left
Is at planning
to go
board.
to planning board.
Very, I mean, literally, when we were in there, they were talking about gates on the dumpster, bollards on the walkway down by Horseshoe, seat collars, more trees, a few other things. And none of them made it to their final approval sheet, so I don't think we have to do any of those things. So we do have that. I'm talking to the site designer to make sure we're not gonna do any of those things, but that's all good news. We don't have to spend, $3,000 to $7,000. One of the issues that we were handling before the bid was a request from the water department, and you were aware of this, that they wanted to cut off the hydrant, the existing hydrant that was there. And we went round and round on that, and I eventually had to speak to the fire chief, because it was his hydrant, basically, and get his approval to remove it. Well, round and round, we didn't get approval to remove it until after the bid. So, right now, it's still in the project. We left it alone because we weren't planning to do anything with it. So, would you like to have the project cut and cap that hydrant at the street and pull the hydrant out of the, so it's not sticking above grade, and abandon the pipe, which by the way is asbestos, Want us to do that as part of this project, or do you want the water department to do that? So it was their suggestions.
Not
that it's
in the
gonna
bid
cost.
already, then it's gonna cost us.
It's not in the bid, is that what you said?
It stays in the bid. Going to the bid, we're leaving it alone.
So we'd have to pay extra. That would be
Yeah,
a change
There would be
order.
a change order
Which
to have
would
the
affect-
contractor.
I would rather have the water.
Yeah.
That doesn't make, that's no brainer.
And it has to be done?
It was the recommendation of the water department, because they have this dead end line, and the water gets a little brackish, and it can mix with your potable water. So they usually do this. The fact that it hasn't been done is probably, kind of,
Obviously, they do it after the new one installed, so,
they could do it at any, I mean, we're not necessarily working that area. They want to jump in early and do what they
Yeah.
can. I would say jump in early. Okay, so that would be the town.
So we have to have Anita reach out to them,
To the highway?
yeah, to the water department.
Water, yes, water, sorry.
Will they be replacing that hydrant
We have a new hydrant.
in ward of the road?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
required to have a hydrant within 100 feet of the building.
Yep.
So that one was never gonna make it. So we had to have a new hydrant, we do have that. Is there any, we've given some information on the generator, a possible generator for a standby warming shelter. Didn't know, obviously it's gotta come before the Fisp, but it began with the planning board asking the fire chief, and the fire chief reconsidering the use of this building as a shelter. Now, we had this discussion about this a couple of times, and it was the vote of this committee that you did not want this as an emergency shelter, and we proceeded that way. I don't recommend this as an emergency shelter because you'd have to change the framing of the building at this point, because it's not a class 4 essential facility. But you could put a generator on this building and use it as a sort of a warming shelter, or something just short of an emergency shelter, where you can go in there, power outages or something like this, some quasi-emergency. The cost of that would be, between $120,000 and $140,000 if you wanted to add that generator there for that purpose, if you want to reconsider it. You've thought about it once and you've said no, but the fire chief has brought it back again. I think he actually wrote a letter to somebody.
Anybody have any thoughts on that?
We have the school already.
Yeah,
I haven't changed my mind. I think that was
I
still the
agree
right
with you.
answer.
I haven't changed my mind.
Yeah,
It's just way too much
I mean,
at this point.
we talked about it, I believe. We all agreed, we voted on it.
and like I said, you have to change all the plans and all the building, I can't see any sense in doing that at all.
Good. I was gonna ask whether Lisa had an opinion on this at all, that, what might sway us one way or the other to change the vote.
I mean, no. Yeah,
Should we record a formal vote on this?
well, we already have.
We don't have to take any action.
There was a letter written by the chief to someone, Anita, or to someone, maybe, I don't know. It was
But
addressed to the board.
But his letter said, make it an emergency shelter.
Right, he was asking for that consideration.
And that cost would be, at this point,
Through the roof, if unintended.
well, even that price of 120 to 140,
Yeah.
if we had put that in before,
Mhm.
would it be substantially lower?
Right now, if you want an emergency shelter, I figured out about maybe $250,000.
No, I'm saying just for the generator. If we had put this all in when we went out to bid,
Yeah.
that might have been half of that,
Well, then 100 out of 140, basically.
so.
I'm pretty sure I recall that in Chief Welch's letter, he also said, at least be wired to accept the generator.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we discuss that? And
That would-
did you ever price that?
No. Well, to be wired
To purchase a generator in the future.
would be basically, well, when you buy a generator, you buy what's called an automatic transfer switch, ATS. And basically, the power to the generator comes through the automatic transfer switch. And the automatic transfer switch is put in front of the normal power coming into your main panel. So when it sees an interruption of power, it will bring the generator in, and the generator will refeed all your main switchgear. So there's nothing that we would do now for a generator, because there's no room in the electric room to add automatic transfer switches pretty good sized piece of equipment. So that would have to be installed in the outside face of the building, the outside wall of the building, which is fine and possible because they make them in waterproof MEMA type 4 enclosures, so they can do.
So there's no particular logistical or financial advantage to thinking about,
A couple of conduits going through the wall, we wanna pay for that now to, stick it outside the wall for, I wouldn't do anything right now.
I think you better not, if something's down the road, because if you have your own town electrician do it or something like that, it's gonna be a lot cheaper than having it out the building.
Well, if you could do it at the time everything was built and open,
Yeah.
I probably might not agree with you, but, there's not, I don't know that there'd be a whole heck of a lot to do right now in anticipation of that. A couple of empty conduits poking through the wall, basically, and then you've got those conduits poking out for,
No reason.
practical reason.
And on a retrofit, how big a deal is that to put them through?
Well, if you had to do it after, you could probably add, 25 to 50% more money.
Oh, really?
You gotta do it. So if I'm saying 140, it might be 200 by the time you're retrofit it, down the road and everything else. The nice thing about the standby, this would be a standby generator, not an emergency generator, because we're not talking about emergency shelter. Standby generator doesn't have to have an on-site fuel source like we have at the police station, all those propane tanks. So you can just come in with your gas line to your generator and then, have your generator feeding the electrical, so it's a little simpler than it was for the police station.
But still very costly.
I just don't think it's
I don't think
necessary.
we
I
should
mean,
spend
if I remember correctly, when we had this discussion, we said our schools are set up as an emergency shelter for the town. Why do we need to provide another?
I don't think we need to take a vote, because we already did.
I don't think we need to.
I'd like to think maybe long-term, if FEMA or MEMA decides to put some money behind
Yeah,
augmenting shelters, maybe we take a look at it then, but it sounds like we're gonna need a freestanding building to house this thing anyways. I just don't see it.
Okay, what else you got?
Okay. There's a bunch of smaller requests that we'll go through now. And we've been asked to look at an exterior restroom for the playfield, to be installed, on the building, within the building, somewhere by the building. I'm assuming, Parks and Recs is asking for it.
No, they're not asking for it.
Who knows? Or somebody just thought this would be
It was
advantageous.
mentioned
Correct.
at town meeting about the
Okay.
facility.
Yeah,
So-
Parks hasn't asked us.
So we looked at a couple of spots. The best spot, the easiest spot is the storage room behind the village area. And that is not an ideal place because in order to get there, you have to walk behind the building and it's kind of dark. So this is the storage room. We could put one right on the outside wall here with the outside door, but the playfield's over here and you have to walk behind the building. It's not totally secure. The preferable place is also the most difficult place. It's probably right off the porch here, right off the sidewalk coming from the playfield, but it creates turns the arts and crafts into something other than a rectangular room. And because you took this space out of the arts and crafts, you need to extend the wall out a little bit to recover the space so you can still have the same
Why couldn't
occupancy.
you put the bathroom where that extended wall is right now and leave the arts and craft building the way it was?
Put it out here?
Yeah.
Well, you have windows there. We're trying to get it under the porch, but could you put it out here? You could. I think it would kind of destroy the outside appearance with, this is a nice window wall on a gable end. So just, and if you're there with the door under here, there's shelter, if it's raining or something like this, you're not getting that well into the bathroom or a small pool. But this sounds like someone was reaching. I don't know if you consider $10,000 to $20,000 for the restroom, and at this point, there'd be a fee involved from us of about 5 or 6. So 15 to 25, 26,000 for a restroom.
That's adding on this extra piece and building the bathroom,
Yeah.
only 20-something thousand dollars?
But that would give up all those windows on that wall, would it not?
Well, we'd have to shorten up the windows a little bit. We wouldn't lose all of them.
any way you cut it, it compromises that space.
Yeah, Lisa's not in favor of restricting that space like that.
I still don't understand why you can't just add on to the outside.
What do you mean, right here?
Like Pat just said.
Right here?
Like Matt just said. Yeah,
Well,
right,
because it'll,
You're only gonna do it, what, 6 by 6?
This is,
How big a room you got?
block the windows. There'll be-
No, no. How big a room you got? How big is that?
How big is the room overall?
No, how big is,
Oh, how big,
Outside
what do you mean?
bathroom have to be.
does it have to be handicapped?
Yes, it has to be
So
handicapped.
it's gonna be 5 by 9,
And we're
so.
at- Well, 6.5 by, 6 by 7.5, but we'd also recommend putting a urinal in there so that you don't have a disgusting toilet. So that would add about another 30 inches to that, so you're probably talking about 9.5 by 6, so 10 by 6.
steel door,
Yeah, steel door, insulated door, camera on the outside, because somebody's gonna have to lock this up at night when they're done playing, otherwise people are gonna go in there at night, you know, unsupervised. Lighting's gonna be important, you know, obviously you want it, I'm not gonna say bulletproof, but you want it kind of abuse resistant.
How about if we did a freestanding, your bathroom?
Sure, like an outhouse or something like
Yeah.
this, and we've done it in parks and stuff like that, no problem. But, you know, the farther you go, you gotta bring your waste and vent and electricity out there. But you can certainly do something freestanding. We looked at the possibility of putting it on, an extension on the fire pump house. Because we have this metal building back here with a fire pump in it. But again, you'd have to bring your waste all the way out there.
Dollar-wise, I'm not gonna
What
hold
would-
you to, just order of magnitude. If that one is, if you're saying 20 for that, what would it cost to?
30? I'm trying to aim high.
So we could put a bathroom next to the fire pump house.
but
that-
it's pretty far back.
That's a lot of walk.
Yeah, it's, well, actually, the fire pump literally is about right here. It's on the north
So-
side of the driveway.
So could parents be at the playground or at a game and watch their child?
Well, there's too much, there's a hill involved,
Right.
Can I see the outside wall of that? Do you have a picture of the outside of that?
not with them.
I mean,
You can, just, if we could do it, sorry.
I'll go.
I'm just, if you did it on the outside and you lose one window, and then they don't lose any space within that room, I think that's a possibility that if we saw a drawing, we'd detail, maybe we'd have a better idea
It'll be-
before a discussion.
Yes, I've been nice enough to offer you a study. We'll negotiate the fee. But, you know, if you tell, I mean, I went as far as I could, but.
But adding a
um,
building sticking out of the side of the building.
Oh, no, you can't. No, it's gotta be square. You're not gonna have something awkward like that.
But we could do a freestanding
That's what,
building
that's what I was thinking.
closer away, so that it doesn't break up the aesthetics of the senior center, closer to the ball fields.
Yeah,
How do you heat it and everything?
you don't, you drain it in.
It's a 3-season. But I think we have an issue with scope of funding. The funding was for a senior center and associated. I mean, we'd have to rationalize this as part of the senior center.
Community preservation, this would be something that they could fund. This is playfield, this is open space.
Well, that's if the parks came forward to us and said that they wanted this.
Mhm.
We've had hundreds of meetings about the senior center,
Yeah.
and there's been, now, don't get me wrong, if this was at Good Deal Park, there'd be no question from day one we would have had bathrooms in this. But this is a field that doesn't get the use. Would it be nice to have a bathroom there for the, it's not even pre-season, it's basically a couple months.
It doesn't slip into here very easily, except for that spot.
And what we told the residents when we went to town meeting is we're gonna work to try to lower that price. In the first meeting, we're talking about an emergency shelter and a bathroom to raise the price. I know we're not talking about those anymore, but we're looking like we might have some extra money, let's spend it.
No, and I still think, my suggestion before was have someone come in for 2 hours, hire a janitor or something like that, open it during those meetings. It's a lot better, it's a lot cheaper doing it like that than doing that building.
I agree, but I'd be against having someone sit there and watch the building. Who knows what, he turns around for a minute, the building's open to the public, it's forgotten unlocked, whatever,
I wouldn't have an issue with that if we're talking a special event. You know, we've got 35 games on the field that day,
That's
fine.
entirely a different story. That's when you
Regular
fill out a
basis,
form and you can
everything.
say, we want the building.
Yeah. But on a regular basis, I think we're just asking for trouble.
Maybe, what's that? Okay.
Next item, just as everybody's aware, we have told RIC that they are awarded the contract. They're the low parent bidder. We have no issue with their bid and no issue with them as a company. Although that designation hasn't been affirmed by the Board of Selectmen, we're proceeding on that with the assumption that they're gonna get the contracts together, their bonds and insurance together, and then when it's all presented to the board, you'll sign it, and that will be obvious. At the same time, we're going to, at the same time you sign the contract, we have a sample notice to proceed, and you'll want to issue the notice to proceed when you return the contracts. So we have a notice to proceed date, I think we figured based upon the 21st, if you're lucky enough to have that contract signed on the 21st, the notice to proceed would be the 26th, which is the following Monday. And then, so that'd be the first day of their contract. And based upon that, just in case you want to know, they would be complete 300 days later, which would be January 20th, 2019. That's when we expect the schedule to be. It all goes according to.
I'm sorry, Joe, you're saying the building, if all that's done, we can complete by the end of January of 2019?
Yeah, January 20th. assuming-
If all those other dates fall into place.
Yeah, assuming we can get the contractor started on the 26th of this month.
Well, that preempted my question, because as we looked at some of these proposals from the different OPMs, the date range, completion date range was quite wide.
Okay.
And this is the first time I'm pleasantly surprised with January being mentioned.
Well, I know Tony sent me an email and asked me how many days was in the contract. I told him 300, so they should know.
That's the understanding we had too.
Yeah. So that was what Anita sent in that email.
And also, on the note of that, Cardinal said there was no issues with, obviously, they did another, in good standing or something like that, so whatever they had, they checked on something. And because Anita said.
Oh, yeah, looking at RIC
Yeah,
again, yeah, another, before RIC got this job, they worked with me for
Right.
previous jobs.
right, but then she just said, they just did it for our
Mhm.
bookkeeping.
Yeah. The only thing that happened is, a couple days ago, we got the negative determination from Concom. It's basically saying that they agree they have no issue with the way we designed the site. We're not within their jurisdiction, so we have no Concom issues on the site, as long as we stay out of their buffer zone. So that was all set.
Negative sounds bad, but I guess it's
Yeah,
good.
I was waiting.
Negative determination is the
Determination
best,
actually good.
that's the best you can have in fun.
Okay. And I don't know if you want to discuss the window, the church window?
No, I haven't got to see them. Somebody approached me that the Mason's Lodge has the old stone church stained glass windows, and they was wondering if there was any way possible to use them in the building.
Is this the same one that came up before?
What, 2 years ago?
Yeah, we had money and everything.
Yeah,
from
the
CPC.
And they
CPC
bowed
gave them a
out.
grant, and they just didn't take it.
Yeah, I remember that.
They changed their mind,
Yeah.
did they
I
not?
think, I don't know the answer, but I think the cost would be,
I know that we could not use them on the exterior, John.
No, it's not an exterior window. You want to frame it, first of all, I'm sure it needs restoration. And then you want to frame it and support it and hang it in front of another exterior window so you get the benefit of the light passing through it. Two places we might be able to install it are at the window wall in the lounge or in the great room at the south wall where we kind of have that peak. We could rearrange the windows a little bit, we could do something if you chose to, if it was important, we could do something. I don't know how important it is and what your priorities are, but it has been brought up.
Am I right? It wasn't like $60,000.
well, we were gonna do a lot more than I
Yeah,
think just taking one window. We were
They're
taking,
talking about the big round, the great window.
It's about 9 feet diameter.
yeah, but we were talking, that cost was a lot more.
If I read, yeah, they had a whole slew of windows. From memory, I want to say back then, they had allocated $30,000 to restore that window, but a lot of it had to do with a rotten, they had to repair all of the rotting frame as well. So, and this was, how many years ago?
Yeah,
3 or 4?
and I guess I don't know what, are they asking us to take it out and they're gonna fix everything after? Do we even know?
I think
There
they're
was
looking
just
for
a
a place
question,
to
if
split it.
there's a way to use them, could we?
So if they, are they gonna give us the window? Do they want us to remodel the building?
Is this that they came to us to ask this, or is this somebody within
Somebody.
the organization that goes to the council?
No, somebody that's friends with the Masons and knows that they're there and part of the historical society. She's also part of the historical society.
Is there a wall that could accept it as a piece of art?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. We might be able to install it in front of the window wall that's in the lounge. You know, that's kind of looking into that little courtyard, actually, where's the courtyard?
No, I'm not talking about putting it in front of a window. I'm
He's saying
talking
just,
about putting it on a wall like that one,
Oh.
as a
blank
piece
wall?
of art.
How tall is it?
No, anytime I have a blank wall, I put a window in it. Yes, if you wanted to, you could put it on the interior hallway wall here.
That's
Right
not,
now, the ceiling there is probably about 8'6", so we have to do something.
not visible enough there, though. No place near the lobby?
No, everything in the lobby is full. There's probably not a flat enough wall in the great room either, unless you want to pass the food through it.
Don't even look in that corner.
I was looking at Billy's, but,
how about instead of a pool table, could we put it in that room?
So, just to make,
I thought you could hang it in front of this window, or possibly hang it in front of that window. That way you get the benefit of light passing through it. But you might want to rearrange the types of windows.
but just bringing up Chris's point, are they taking it out of the existing wall? Or is it already up?
As I understand, they're down in the basement.
Oh, it's already out?
Lodge,
Oh, yeah, right now there's a louver in the building right now, the existing building.
You
Check
drive
it out
by
for a
and you
movie.
can see it.
That window's still there.
How about,
No.
I think Siobhan asked the
And
question.
I
No,
haven't seen
actually,
it
it's
myself.
out, and there's a wood louver in its place.
I
And
didn't
all
know
the other
that.
windows are gone. I drove by it today. That thing has no windows in it.
No windows in our place?
There's no windows at all. You can walk right through it.
How big is the window in question?
What do you mean, no
8 or
windows?
9 feet diameter.
What's in the way of it? Plywood?
Excuse me?
What's in-
No, you can look right through the building. There's nothing, all the windows are
You
gone.
looked at this, the
On the
Masonic?
way over here tonight,
I
yes.
guess we're all driving by on the way home, it seems.
Is the window just geometric designs, or does it have characters?
Oh, yeah, it's a nice 8-petal flower with,
What
I saw some
about the
musical
long
colors.
rectangular ones?
Oh, sorry, you're not talking about the round one?
No, I'm talking about the rectangular.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
How about we reach out, if you wanna reach out to the Masons, I mean, if the board agrees, and ask them exactly what they're asking, and then they can, for restoration, they can still come to the CPC, and we can have them restored if
We could
the
display
C-
it if that's the wish.
if we could display it. I mean, if it's something, that if it's not the big round one, I just recall they needed a lot of work.
Yeah,
Square
the
was
grant was
probably
9 grand.
About 3 by 10,
Probably, yeah.
3
If you
feet
look
wide
at-
by
if you
10
look
feet
at
high.
where
I
they
don't
were
have
in
too many
Stone
places
Church,
where I'm
yeah.
10 feet high.
So what, are they tearing that building down?
With no windows in, it's not gonna last very long.
Talking about the right building.
Okay.
This is the
That's the only-
Wachusett, there used to be the Baptist church in the Wachusett Reservoir.
No.
Yes, well, the windows, that's where the windows are from.
Yeah, but
But we're right in the center of town here.
You're talking about
Church
the,
Street.
oh, you're talking about the one on the reservoir?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what they're talking
No,
about.
no.
No,
This is the Masonic Lodge right
Yeah.
across the
Yeah.
street.
you went to, you need to go to church, it's
Okay.
Church Street,
Church
right?
Street, yeah.
The picture you gave me.
Yeah, it's from a bookmark, yeah.
And it was, but it was probably when they were in that building.
Because I'm thinking I was at the Masonic Lodge.
No, you-
recently.
you-
Like,
that's
that
where they-
window's still there.
Well, no, that's where they used to be,
Yeah.
in that,
But they have,
I don't know where they keep-
windows there for a long time.
From the old stone church?
I assume so, isn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't they tell us that?
Yes, those windows came from the old stone church. They restored it. We looked at buying them, I thought, like 3 years ago.
Yeah, we did.
And
They
then
were
they
gonna-
changed their
They were
mind.
gonna- they were
Oh,
gonna-
we were gonna.
We were gonna restore
Restore
them.
them.
We were gonna
The
restore it.
windows are from the stone church.
I thought, I believe so, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't recall.
That's not where they are now.
I think we've,
Oh, no, I knew they were
We
out
got off
there,
the
but
subject.
I think we've
also
spent-
size based on the openings.
Okay.
We spent enough time with this.
So let's find out exactly
Yeah.
like
What
Chris
they
said,
wanna
what
do.
they want. and
If
then-
you wanna reach out to that person, maybe they can come up with a real proposal.
All right.
Photographs
writing.
of the windows would be really nice.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What are we doing photographs?
And in writing,
Yeah.
not just.
Well, the CPC
Verbiage.
maybe.
Okay,
You good?
I'm done with other.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris, before we move on, I'm curious from the bid process, John, did you get a lot of focal questions on any part of the design that gives you any reason to think there'll be requested changes as we go forward?
No, the nice thing, I have a good relationship with Tom Rochella, the project manager for RBC, and he must have sent me 20 emails saying, what about this, what about this? Sometimes he was just looking in the wrong spot. The other times, he found things I wanted to put in the addendum. Okay, there's a conflict, let me figure it out. So he helped me, probably write 50% of the addendum. So, very happy with that. Very few, a few other questions from some of the subs, but not very many questions from the GCs. BW Construction out of Spencer, which I actually like very much, I would love them here too. They were like the middle of the pack as far as cost. And he was asking a lot of questions, he was trying to get his numbers down low. So people are calling me and asking me a lot of questions. They're the ones most interested, and they're trying to do whatever they can to get their numbers lower by qualifying everything.
So you didn't see anything that would suggest any susceptibility to large cost changes? once we
No,
start?
if I did, I'd be all over it with an addendum.
Okay. Next item is invoices. CBA invoice 5717 Senior Center, $17,850, and invoice 5718 Senior Center for $18,134.78.
I think these are design related, I don't have it in front of me.
I'd like to know what they had before.
It was for the last two invoices for the designs,
Yeah.
but let's, would
I'm not
you
sure
mind-
bidding, I don't think bidding was this much, I think bidding was less than these two numbers, unless bidding is included in the last one.
Can we hold
something
off on that until the next clarification?
Is it all right with,
Well, we're meeting next week.
else. I'm gonna get a paycheck this week anyway, so.
so can you cover these for the
Yeah.
company in case?
Can I cover
They
them?
need it,
I'll
yeah.
cover them.
Okay, so we'll put,
We'll want a meeting for next week,
we can move them to next week, and then we can get some information.
clarification.
Okay, then Cardinal, there's nothing. Others, advertisement for the Telegram, $96 for public hearing notice, $42 for OPM ad, a total of $138.
Make a motion to approve.
Who are the invoices with? I mean, we're just paying these TNG directly, et cetera?
Yeah,
P&G, right?
well,
You'll have some Project Dog expenses, which is the electronic bidding firm that you went with. So I'm not sure that we've seen those yet, but they're coming.
yeah, these are just ads in the Telegram.
So they've been paid probably, they've already been paid, I'm sure. And now we just have to reimburse them out of our account.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second, any other discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nobody, other updates? Anyone, other updates?
Have we updated the website as to what's next? It's just public
I
out.
was on your website.
I was
There
too
wasn't-
today,
there was
right.
nothing.
Still says senior center.
Center and the vote, basically, is the last thing that's on there.
So, well, if Nita's watching this, if you could have somebody update this.
A nice thank you.
Great web. Next meeting, well, we did we want to set the next,
Yeah,
the
so-
next meeting?
We're gonna do the next week at 6:45, but the next meeting is,
What would it be?
second week in April,
Unless we need it,
unless we need it before
would be
then.
the 11th.
You mean after the 21st?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
don't know that if they can have
So 7 o'clock,
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't do the 11th.
that's our regular scheduled meeting.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna be meeting before that.
Is that April 11th?
Yeah,
That's our regular schedule, second week, second Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
That's how we always do it, so really, we can set every second Wednesday in your calendar, and then they'll be changed if there's issues, but
If we
I
need-
think, if anything else, we're gonna add more, not.
if we need another meeting, we'll definitely add it, but
So what is the date of the next meeting?
April 11th.
But that's our normal.
That's our normal.
7.
And then the other one is
Next one's
6:45.
7:45, next
Yeah, I won't be
6:45.
here.
I know.
I don't care about that one.
Okay.
I won't be here.
We've
I'll
got
be
that
sitting on the
meeting.
beach by then.
Motion to adjourn, if there's nothing else. Anyone?
Moved?
Second?
Motion and second, any discussion, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?